the platform is We Are Colony, and as it says here, we're looking at new models of audience engagement and revenue generation around film. So I'll give you just some headline stuff first. So basically, I've worked in film for 10 years, formerly as a producer and then laterally in distribution. And the general release windows around film has just changed utterly dramatically. So what you can see at the top is it used to be a very linear, very controlled, very long process. There were very distinct windows. And what's now happening is there's a complete fracture of those windows. And I put, 2013, 14, because it will have changed again by 14, 15. But the key things to point out is that we've now got premium digital windows, so ahead of theatrical release, which for the history of filmmaking has been, the premium mechanism of release. We've now got digital windows ahead of that. And then we've got a very fractured piece where VOD can come, traditional VOD can come, alongside theatrical or in the kind of long tail. And then, again, just very headline stuff here. Basically, what we're seeing with film is what happened with music, which is that music was fixated on the physical product, on the disc, and film is remaining fixated on theatrical release and also on DVD. Now, if you look at the 2010 figure, DVD used to, by such a long way, be the kind of, the main piece of the revenue pie, as it were. And in kind of just over 10 years, we're seeing how dramatically that is changing. And again, if you look at the trends, everything green is digital, everything red is a physical product. So then again, just some, really headline stuff. So film is a big market. VOD is one of the fastest growing sectors. And the critical thing, as I mentioned, is how predominantly VOD is competing now with theatrical. And by 2017, which is really, really soon, digital revenue will overtake theatrical for the first time. And just like music, we're seeing that kind of film is just completely ignoring that change largely. Electronic sell-through are these premium digital windows growing incredibly fast. And I mentioned crowdfunding just because we're focused on early audience engagement. And arguably crowdfunding is, one of the best evidences of people willing to get involved with film super early. So I guess what's the problem? So Debs from Film London should be here today, but her bathroom is leaking into her living room, so she's not here. But she would talk very passionately about this. And basically the key thing to pull out here is that 6% of all films made account for 80% of global revenue. In the UK, 20 films take half the box office. Now, there are several things to say. One is possibly that too much film gets made, but the other is about access to audiences. And again, traditionally, that access has been held by the studios, the theatrical distributors. And the key thing is this, which is that the Hollywood system spends $4 billion a year on marketing alone. So 50 cents in every dollar goes on marketing. And if any of you have been involved with independent film, you'll know that about 0 pence in every pound goes on marketing. Independent filmmakers make their film and think that is their job done. And in some ways it is, but this is a business. They've got to think better about how they engage with the market. So this is our response. We Are Colony. So we're focused on early and exclusive behind-the-scenes access to film. So again, we looked at the marketplace and this is what we saw. So basically the horizontal axis is about time, so early access through to traditional windows, and the vertical is about content. And what we saw was that there are some really big players in this space, Netflix, for example, but everyone is focused predominantly on the film and on kind of traditional windows. And what we see, if you see us at the top there, is that we see that we could be a kind of end-to-end where we're the place for early access and then the place to monetize the long tail. So we're essentially a marketplace. We have a B2B and a B2C element. So for content owners, filmmakers, distributors, and potentially in time, bigger content players, we want to be the place to launch their film into the market and start to build a following. Again, critically answering this piece about marketing and audience engagement. And for consumers, we want to be the place to get early and exclusive access to films that they love. So there are several elements to what we have been building. So I guess the product, I'm going to do you a very quick demo in a second. But we're calling the product a companion. The very easiest way to think of it is it's like a DVD special edition. So we're doing that for a VOD. So we bundle the film with a whole host of non-traditional content. So trailers, deleted extended scenes, production diaries, interviews with cast and crew, etc. but also some non-traditional assets. So things like scripts, storyboards, posters, concept art, press, etc., etc. And the critical thing here is that we want to look to see what happens when we pre-release some of that content ahead of the film's general release. Traditionally, all of that content's been held back and it's been monetized after general release. We're interested to see what it can do about, in terms of audience engagement and marketing, but also potentially driving pre-sales on the film itself. So we give access to that additional content, we give access to films, we're interested in exploring the different windows, so as I showed you at the very beginning, where we can fit in that kind of window of release. And in time, we think that We Are Colony could provide access to a community of like-minded fans, although not in the duration of the Nesta project. So I chickened out of doing a live demo, so I'm just going to show you some, it works, I promise. So we launched in June as an invite-only beta, and this is what you'll see if you go to wearecolony.com. So we're asking people to sign up for an invite or to sign in. When you sign in, this is what you'll see. So this is the landing page. It's a combination of sort of editorial recommendation and then the kind of catalogue. As you'll see at the bottom of the screen there, we're also really aware that we have to very quickly show the audience that we're not another Netflix type, not just another kind of Netflix type platform. So we're disaggregating some of the additional content and previewing it. That's something we'll be playing around with. I should talk a little bit about kind of Film London. So, Film London's involvement here is they want to be, leading the sector in exploring new models and critically trying to answer that problem about, film and kind of revenue generation. That piece about 20 films take half the British box office. The other thing to say is that 3% of British films make a profit, only 3%. So that's kind of Film London's piece in this, is how do we try and break that? And they see digital models as an opportunity to do that. So within the Nesta pilot, we are looking at between 6 and 8 titles. They're quite disparate, and we're trying to drill down into what makes them of interest to audiences at every level. So we're looking at things like what is the power of talent, we're looking at different genres, we're looking at short film, we're looking at films that have an offline angle, like a big event, and trying to kind of draw some conclusions or recommendations for the sector. So when you click into a companion from the landing page, you go into the kind of product. So again, this is a kind of recent iteration. We've really pared back our branding because if an audience comes wanting this title, we want to give it to them straight off. Explore is our main content view, so that's the film itself, and then it differs with every title, but things like this film has a 40-minute making of documentary, interviews with cast and crew. If you go down the page, we then have 9 deleted scenes that haven't been released anywhere else. You can also see the hover state there, so where it says deleted scene, Roddy and Tom, that's the hover state. If you click on any of these thumbnails, it opens in page. You can watch in page or go full screen. And then albums of stills, and then what we call extras. So again, this is the non-traditional stuff like scripts, storyboards, posters, concept art. We've got costume books, a whole host of stuff. And I guess what we're doing here is appealing to fans of a very particular talent. So we have a couple of Benedict Cumberbatch films. I'm telling you right now that his fans will consume anything that he is in. Or we're going after genre fans, so fans of thriller, sci-fi, horror, docs. Or we're going after more sort of casual film fans that just want an insight into process. And then the other thing, I guess, is recommendations. It's, one of the challenges we have is if we can bring an audience to a particular talent, how do we, propel them across other titles and get them to stay with the platform? So we have a very, very early editorial-driven recommendation engine. And then about, so this is a little bit like IMDb, so things like quotes, synopsis, plot summaries, all those classifications drive internal search, because as I say, it's all about propelling people through the content. And then things like cast and crew roles, awards, festivals, and partners. So that is the briefest look at the product. And then we launched in June. I just wanted to share some incredibly early analytics with you. So the first thing would be, I guess we're a global platform, and that I think is probably unusual amongst some of the Nesta projects, but also certainly unusual for VOD platforms. Film has traditionally been a kind of very territorial, nationalistic licensing model, and being a global platform is such a challenge for us, in terms of trying to talk with traditional distributors and sales agents. But I think, that is the future of kind of digital rights. So the result has been that we've had visitors from 132 countries, and I should point out that we're yet to really press the button on any kind of real marketing. So this has all been driven by social. And again, it just shows the kind of virality, I guess, of some of the titles and talents we're working with. And then in terms of what we call account holders, those are people who've signed up for a beta and then come back. The kind of peaks here are absolutely tied to when we launch new films. So this brings me to the other major challenge we have, and one that Debs would be able to talk very eloquently about, which is converting titles to work with us on the platform. I mean, there is a real opportunity for independent filmmakers to monetize their film direct to audiences, but filmmakers are incredibly risk averse. They are frightened practically to do anything, and I speak like that as a former filmmaker. That you're frightened that you make a wrong decision and you give rights away that prevents a big, some big deal. And the thing that Debs is very frustrated by is just the kind of waiting. I mean, there are titles that we were talking to a year ago that are still haven't decided what they're doing, and arguably they lose the value in their product by just sitting on it, kind of waiting to make the right decision. And I would argue that there's so much flux in film, there is no right decision at the moment. It's just about trying new models. So one of the biggest challenges for us is the kind of acquisition funnel and converting filmmakers to work with us. I guess the other nice thing to say here is that our kind of user engagement is very good. Our page numbers is quite deep. We're seeing we're seeing between 5 and 10% of our usership online every day, and the time on site is really good. So 7 minutes sounds short for a VOD platform, but Netflix's time on site is 1 minute 20, and our kind of closest competitor Fandor is 3 minutes. So we've got a kind of really engaged early user base. And then, so to make this work, we do not have the marketing budgets of some of our big competitors. So to make this work, we have to really outcompete in the social spaces. And so this is, again, really early first 3 month stuff, but it shows that we're doing a good job of kind of social and referral as well. So we create influencer strategies, what we call them. So we look at a title and work out, how to reach that audience base. And that's often through partner sites, fan sites, publications, etc. And I guess I wanted to show this. So we had our Twitter and our Facebook strategy nailed, and then Tumblr came along and is delivering half of our traffic. I didn't know Tumblr personally, and it's been a bit of a learning curve for us. The interesting thing to say would be that in 3 months we've probably done 20 Tumblr posts, that's it, and it's delivering half of our traffic. So that's our user base talking for us. So we've had to respond quite quickly to some piracy. Piracy on Tumblr tends to be stills driven, and all our stills are watermarked. Our view is if they are attributing to source, that we kind of don't care, but that's something that we have to work out as we start to work with kind of bigger content owners. And then I guess to talk a little bit about sort of the premise of this entire project is that audiences are interested in the additional content that they traditionally were getting through DVDs, but now nobody's creating DVDs, so they're not getting them anymore. And that's borne out by the fact that in our top 10 assets, not a single feature film registers there. And again, so this is actually just the last month. So this is really early cohort data. It's not proof, but it's an interesting kind of early behavior. And so the kind of, I love our users. They seem to really love us. And the kind of key thing now for us is how do we grow them? How do we bring them back? How do we convert them across titles? And critically, how do we get the industry to feel like this about us and get more filmmakers to work with us? So I would love you all to help us, and so please do sign up for a beta invite and share and let networks know. And I hope that's been helpful. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Yes.